Good evening, everyone. My name is Commissioner Michael Schenkel, and I am the chair of ANC 2C. And I would like to welcome you to our January 11th, 2022 meeting. We have a fairly full agenda this evening. The first part of our agenda primarily deals with a lot of our administrative tasks for the year that we have to codify in our minutes, but we'll review those in a few minutes. I would like to introduce, we have three commissioners present this evening. We have Commissioner Gigi Nelson from 2C03 and Ellie Miskey from 2C02. Totally did that backwards, but that's okay. I'd like to welcome you all as well and say Happy New Year. The agenda this evening, I'll just put that up on the screen for folks to see. You can also access the agenda on ANC 2C website at anc2c.us. We are going to just review the minutes of our December meeting. The Treasurer's report, we're going to be discussing the ANC Security Fund, the approval of our financials for the first quarter, the election of our 2022 ANC officers, and set our 2022 meeting schedule. We will hear from the mayor's office, Councilmember Pinto's office. We've invited Councilmember Charles Allen to be here this evening from Ward 6, as he will be, some of our ANC will be moving to Ward 6. And we'll have our police department reports and PD reports. I did add one thing to our agenda this evening, and that was the rock and roll half marathon to the local community events. We will review under public transportation and public space a Penn Social LLC, the change in cafe operational hours. We have a sidewalk cafe permit from RPM Restaurant LLC. We, under zoning, planning, zoning, environment, and historic presentation, we will discuss the Luck Home Care Agency and their application for, I believe, a certificate of need, and then finish the evening off discussing a rooftop antenna at 616 East Street Northwest. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Then do I have a motion from one of the commissioners to approve the, or to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
And I'll second that. And all those in favor, just raise your hand. Awesome, terrific, thank you very much. Commissioners, have you had the opportunity to review the December 2021 minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Is there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
There was one change to change number 6 where it says stock payment to stop payment for the check.
That would be good. We want to stop, not stock. Terrific.
That change was made and an updated version was sent out though, right? So we don't need to make a change. We're just voting on the updated one.
On the amended one? Okay.
Yeah. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Minsky, and a second from Commissioner Nelson. All those in favor? Awesome. Thank you. 3 of 3 commissioners voting in favor of that. Treasurer's report.
Okay, so there is a lot going on today in terms of the Treasury report. So I'm going to start with the revised quarterly financial report for the third quarter, which ended in September. So that was revised to include a check that had been written, but not cashed, but it had been written on 16 June. So it needed to be included in that third quarter. So that brought the ending balance to $56,228.34. So that's for quarter 3. Okay, so now moving on to the fourth quarter. So for the fourth quarter financial report, we had a district allotment in total of $3,642.10. Let me just back up for a second. The fourth quarter is from October through December. I'm sorry. The fourth quarter. The fourth quarter is from August, September. I'm sorry. It's August, September, and July, August, and September. Yes. So that is the fourth quarter. Okay, so fourth quarter, July, August, and September. And so these are, this report is in total of everything that happened within those 3 months. So the district allotment was in total was $3,642.10. The purchase of service totaled $350. Those are the payments made for the minutes that were taken during that quarter, so that the ending balance for the fourth quarter was $59,520.44. So we will need to approve that. Moving on to there is an amended November report because there was a stop payment that was made on some checks that were lost in the mail. If you guys recall this from last month, I had put them under the November report, but they should have been under the December report. The way it read in the bank was that it was for the period ending 11/30. And so that's why I had put them in November, but it actually posted in the bank on December the 1st. So I had to make that change. So the monthly treasurer report for November is that there was basically no change at all. And so recall that we already went through October, so I haven't gone through that again, but the balance, the ending balance, the closing balance for November is $62,812.54. So that's November. Okay, so for December, the opening balance was $62,812.54. In December, we had the stop payment for the check, which was $33. We also had 2 checks that were written for $175 each. So that total altogether is $383, which left our closing balance at $62,429.54. Okay, so the security fund participation, do we want to talk about that now, or do you want to go ahead and vote on the fourth quarter stuff? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Do we want to vote on, so you have modified quarter 3 and quarter 4 from FY21, and you have prepared FY22 quarter 1, which is September 2. Got it. So do we need to approve the changes to quarter 3 and 4?
The changes to quarter 3 were made by the ANC.
Got it.
So I don't know that we need to, I don't know.
No.
We need to approve those?
I don't think we need to do that.
And then quarter 4, yes, we do need to approve that.
Okay.
And that's all cleared with the ANC. I don't know if you saw that email about the adjustment that Don needed to make. So all that's been done. So this is correct this report is correct and it shouldn't have to be amended or changed.
So could you just recap one more time for me?
Sure, I know that was a lot.
What the change in the fourth quarter was?
So there actually wasn't. It was, we received an email from Dawn, and I have it here. And it was just that there was a software error in the QFR in the worksheet itself. And so
right.
She wanted everything to be completed and then sent to her, and then they would fix it and send it back. But they wanted it done before we actually voted on, before we printed anything for the fourth quarter and before we voted on anything. So that was all done.
Got it. I got you. Yes, that I did have that issue around the software issue. So absolutely. So I would move that we approve the FY21 quarter four financials amended as Gigi has described. Is there a second?
Seconded.
And all those in favor? Terrific. Awesome.
Okay, great. So I will get that out to you guys for signature and then send it to Dawn. Okay, so then the next thing is the security fund report. I sent that to you guys earlier, so you've had a chance to see that. So we'll need to get together and get that signed. But basically what that is it's a security fund of $25 to the ANC just to printed that off too, so I'm trying, oh, here it is. Okay, so that is it's regarding the ANC bonding. And so to participate, we have to fill out the information, then send the $25, and it's for the ANC bonding. So we just need to vote on that as well.
I move that we participate in the ANC security fund for FY 2022.
Second.
And all those in favor? Awesome. So we'll move forward with that. 3 of 3 commissioners voting in favor of that. So thank you. Do we need to approve FY22 quarter one financials, which is September to December?
I don't have that information for this meeting.
Okay.
So we can do it in the February meeting. I had so much already for this one.
Oh,
I figured this was enough.
Fine. It's fine. Okay. So we'll just put the FY22 quarter one financials on our February meeting agenda.
And Michael, could you just repeat what months the quarter one would be?
Quarter one would be, I'm sorry, from October
to December.
To December 30th.
Okay.
31st, sorry. This year. Yes. Annually, the ANC has to elect officer positions. Over the past year, I served as chair of the ANC. Commissioner Nelson served as the vice chair and treasurer, and Commissioner Miskey served as the secretary of the commission. Do we wish to make any changes to the officer positions? Is that a no?
No.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Then do we want to, so we kind of discussed earlier that we would potentially keep the same positions as we currently have. And do I have a motion to move that slate of officers forward?
Oh, sorry. You could.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay, motion to move forward the slate of officer positions consistent with our current positions.
Second.
And all those in favor? Awesome. So 3 of 3 commissioners voted in favor of that. And Commissioner Miskey, will you notify the Office of ANC of our positions? And
yep.
titles. I know that is something that we normally did not do in the past, and that was done through the security fund documentation. So this is something I believe they want in addition to that process. Um, as far as our meeting schedule for 2022, I did have a question to ask of the commissioners. Looking at the meeting schedule for 2022, if we kept the same meeting schedule as the second Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m., there are no holidays or federal holidays where there is no governmental services happening. So that is consistent with what we have this year. However, I would like to point out Tuesday, November 8th, 2022, which is Election Day. And I don't know if the commissioners have a preference on whether or not we have a meeting that night, or would they prefer to delay that meeting to November 15th?
I think if we're gonna, I don't think we should hold it on election day because I wouldn't want to deter anyone from getting to the polls. I would also say, we could do either the 3rd or evaluate when it's closer if we need a November meeting, because I think 10 are only required if I remember correctly. So we could put the 15th and do that. I'm fine either way, but I don't think we should do it on the 8th.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you as well.
Agreed.
On that. So if we would move that to just as a placeholder right now, the 15th of November, that would be the only day that would be the 3rd Tuesday then of the month.
Did we also want to look at anything in the summer in terms of?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just in terms of like we did this year and have a summer break?
Mm-hmm. We certainly can do that. I believe this year
or last year, actually.
Last year, we did not meet in August.
Right.
Is that something that you wish to move forward with and not have an August meeting?
It doesn't matter to me if it's August or any other month. I just wondered if that was something we were going to look at.
Sure. It's certainly something we can look at. We didn't have a lot of activity in August. That's why we didn't have a meeting.
Right.
We can always leave it as a placeholder, and when it gets closer, well, it could go either way, because if we just take out the August meeting now, I think that would be an incentive for people to get any requests in for the July or September, July meeting, if not the September one. So we could take it out just to have a break, since we do have 12 meetings. And I know a lot of other commissions do that as well. And then we could always add it back in if something comes up. Either way is fine for me.
Absolutely.
Same.
I would agree. So we will publicize that there is no meeting then on the August date, to allow people to have the recognition that we will not be meeting in August. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the proposed 2022 meeting schedule?
Motion to approve the agenda meeting schedule.
And I'll second that.
Oh, sorry.
And all those in favor? Awesome. Terrific. So 3 of 3 commissioners voting in favor of that. Thank you. Do we have, is Council Member Allen with us? Okay. I'm when Councilmember Allen comes on this evening, we're going to take him as the next um, presentation, as he has another ANC that he'll be presenting at this evening as well. Go ahead, Gigi.
Really quick, I don't know if another agenda was sent out, but I did notice that on this one, it says that we're approving the November 2021 minutes. So I didn't know if that was something that we needed to recognize and that we approved the December minutes.
Oh, it's the December minutes on my agenda.
Right. Oh, okay. Then I might have an old one.
It was December, yeah.
Okay, then I might have an old one.
Okay, got it. Mr. Florio.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I unfortunately cannot turn my camera on for whatever reason, but I hope everyone can hear me. I put my contact information in the chat. My name is Joe Florio. I'm from the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services. I know you all have a packed agenda, so I'm going to try to get through my updates as quickly as possible in hopes that I'll be done when the council member hopefully joins. Starting with the vaccination mandate for bars, restaurants, nightclubs, etc., gyms, event spaces. That goes into effect this Saturday, January 15th at 6 a.m. and that is for one dose for folks ages 12 and older, and then February 15th, it is required to be fully vaccinated with a second dose for folks 12 years of age and older. So proof of vaccination, like I said, for bars, restaurants, nightclubs, indoor cultural and entertainment facilities, and indoor exercise and recreational facilities, and event and meeting establishments. There have been some questions as to some property managers have had questions about if they had a gym indoors for, let's say, a gym for office workers. If it is only for the tenants of that building, the vaccine mandate is not required for them, but if they do open up to outdoor groups or of the like, then it would be required. And that goes for indoor residential buildings as well. Acceptable types of proof of vaccination will include CDC-issued vaccination card and an immunization record printout from the patient portal of their vaccine, a COVID-19 verification app such as VaxPS or Clear. And let's see, going on to rapid tests, sticking with the vaccines and tests. You can still pick up rapid tests at public libraries. So I believe the West End Library in Foggy Bottom have been one of those. So these are the 15-minute tests that you're seeing lately. You can still pick up your PCR tests from the Martin Luther King Jr. Library. That's the same, kind of similar, test yourself at home and drop in the test box, and you'll get your results in 2 to 3 days. And then as of December 21st, the mask mandate did come back into effect. So if you all did not know, now you know, mask mandate is back into effect, and that happened on Tuesday, December 21st. And then today, actually, the mayor, I was just learning now that the mayor had made a very limited public health emergency in the District of Columbia, and this was because of several hospitals had wanted to make the request. So this goes toward hospitals with staffing and the like. I have the document, I have the mayor's order on me. I just need to somehow put it in the chat so that way people can see it from themselves. But that's what I'm aware of that it's regarding is hospitals and staffing and, helping them out with the increase of COVID cases in hospitals. Moving on to DTW updates. DTW wants to thank everybody over the last couple of weeks, because of the last snowstorm really pushed DPW back in a lot of their other services that they provide. And so services were nearly 100% back online as of today. Christmas tree collections and other holiday greenery are back online for collection. And so put those at your area where your trash is collected. I know there's a lot of apartment buildings and they may have internal tree collections. That's, I know, is a lot of downtown. Leaf collection will continue, and I believe the last day is January 15th for leaf collection. If there's any areas that have been missed, please let me know, and I will let DPW know to come and pick up leaves that they have forgotten. And then I will go on to very brief specific ANC 2C updates. I actually walked most of the ANC today. I did sweeps in every SMD. 2C01, I was focused on a missing fire hydrant at one location, and so making sure that that has been put back in place. I know I walked through our alley behind 810 5th Street Northwest. I had noticed that part of that wall at the shelter, it looked like a truck may have hit it, and I flagged it for DGS for repair. I don't want anything, the integrity of that wall to get worse, so I flagged that for DGS, and then some other issues for DPW to focus on. In 2CO2, a lot of sidewalk issues on Mass Ave that I actually flagged for 311 today and for DDOT, as well as a lot of faded traffic roadway signs. So that way I hope, and then all their DDOT infrastructure. So I saw a bike rack that needed to be replaced, and then some flex posts that should be replaced as well. In 2CO3, I found some illegal posters near the southern part of the SMD and some graffiti that I flagged to DPW. So hopefully they're going to get those services back online with everything else. And then some outstanding utility work that I've also flagged for DDOT. Those are my updates. So I'll turn it back to the chair.
Thanks so much, Joe. Really appreciate that. Was the hydrant replaced?
I don't know. That's why I said I asked about it today, so I need to get that response back.
I'm sorry.
It was on my mind because I knew the meeting. I remember the meeting was tonight, so I was inquiring about that. I may walk by there myself just to see if that's back, and if it's not, I'll follow up.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you so much for that. And I know that was brought up at our last meeting, and Joe has been all over that, making sure that that is resolved and that hydrant is back at that location. So, commissioners, do you have any questions for Joe, for the mayor's office?
Thank you.
Are there any questions from community for Joe and the mayor's office? Okay, terrific. Thank you. Just one quick check, just checking to see if Council Member Allen is on with us. I don't see his name in there, so can we move to Councilmember Pinto's office? And I'm not sure who is there. Is Victoria? There she is. Awesome.
Sorry, I just had to unmute myself. Hi, all.
Hello. How are you this evening?
Well, how are you guys doing? Nice and warm we have today, that's for sure. All right, so it's great to see you all. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Victoria Costarubias, and I work as Councilmember Pinto's scheduler. I'll add my information to the chat very soon. But just before stepping into all the updates for the month, we just want to affirm that our office is very excited to continue working with ANC 2C, especially now that the new ward boundaries are in effect and as the ANC boundaries are determined. We know that you guys are in very good hands, but if you guys need any assistance with anything in particular, we're always happy to help. So now for the legislative updates. We're very excited to announce that last week, the council passed Councilmember Pinto's Expanding Student Access to Period Products Act, which requires that free period products be provided in all women's and gender neutral bathrooms in all DC public charter, private schools, and post-secondary institutions. It also requires the Office of the State Superintendent of Education to develop comprehensive menstrual education health standards that are taught beginning in 4th grade. This was an issue brought to us by many of the DC high school and college students, so we're super excited that it won final passage with unanimous support. Additionally, the council also passed legislation that provides the deputy mayor for planning and economic development with grant-making authority for small business pandemic relief. Councilmember Pinto worked with Councilmembers McDuffie and Silverman to put $40 million in the FY22 budget for small business rent relief. Grantees have to be district-based small businesses that make less than $5 million in gross revenue each year. The council also took the first vote on the Eviction Record Sealing Authority Amendment Act of 2021, which makes several reforms to protect tenants, including prohibiting evictions if a tenant owes less than $600, requires housing providers to provide tenants with at least 30 days notice before filing an eviction in court, and requires the Superior Court to seal the eviction case record within 30 days if the housing provider does not win a judgment allowing repossession of the unit, and within 3 years if the court rules in favor of the housing provider's repossession. And with that, we are already in budget season again. So Councilmember Pinto will be holding a Ward 2 Community Budget Forum this Thursday, the 13th at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom. And we encourage you all to RSVP to share your priorities for the FY23 budget. I'll post that link in the chat very soon. And additionally, I can share the contact information for our new constituent services coordinator, Pablo Velasco Rodriguez. We're very excited that he has joined our team. And lastly, we have started finally getting. So if you're a senior or a person with a disability who would like a volunteer to help shovel your sidewalk and aren't already on the city's list, please let us know and send us an email so that we can try to help. So that sums up my updates for the month. And if there are any questions, please let me know.
Thanks so much, Victoria. Really appreciate that. And this is a question quickly for probably for Joe and Victoria, and maybe even Councilmember Allen when he comes on next. The boundaries of the ward go in, the new boundaries, I guess, go into effect now. So they're in effect now. And the ANC boundaries remain intact until the next election?
Yes.
Okay.
We currently have ANC task force are charged with determining the ANC boundaries, but the ward boundaries, as I understand, were in effect as of January 1st.
Got it. Terrific. And secondly, I know that there's been some communication that's been happening regarding the Pat Handy shelter on 5th Street. We did receive notification from DHS that they are keeping that shelter open as a men's facility through hypothermia season, which is April 22nd, I believe the notice said to us. I'm wondering, do you have any other updates on that property and what DHS is planning?
I don't have updates on the Pat Handy shelter, but I'd be happy to circle back with you to let you know if our office can learn anything more.
Got it.
Hi, Commissioner Schenkel. It's Joe. As of now, I don't think anything has changed. I believe that DHS wanted to keep it as a shelter for men, to continue to have men there through hypothermia season, but I believe the construction is still on track for spring. I don't believe that there was a solid date of when that construction would start. Just all I know is spring. As we get closer, I will try to check in to see if we can get a more definitive date for that construction.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And for those of you who are interested in the DHS issue with the Pat Handy, I will attempt to invite them to our next meeting to provide an update on their process, because I know that there's tremendous concern that's happening in the ANC. So thank you. Any commissioners, any questions for Councilmember Pinto's office and Victoria?
No, not from me.
No.
Any community questions? Awesome. Thank you so much, Victoria. Appreciate that this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to bring on, I see that Councilmember Allen is with us.
Yes, good evening.
Hey, Councilmember Allen, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Excellent. Thank you so very much for being here with us. For those who are on with us this evening, every year the district goes through a redistricting process based on census data, and part of ANC 2C has moved from Ward 2 to Ward 6, which is Councilmember Allen's ward. So we wanted to invite him here this evening to introduce himself, and I'll turn it over to you, Councilmember Allen.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. To the commissioners, it's great to see you. And thanks for having me and putting me on your agenda. To the neighbors, good to see you all virtually as well. I had wanted to kind of be able to just drop in partly to say hello, introduce myself, but also talk about the redistricting process and kind of what comes next. You'd asked a really good question earlier about kind of where are we now with ward boundaries and ANC. The ward boundaries changes are in effect right now, but your ANCs and SMDs stay as they were through the rest of this calendar year. And then whatever changes happen to ANCs, and there will be changes to ANCs, that'll take effect next January. But the election for commissioners, which would be in the general election this coming November, will all be based on whatever the new boundaries are.
Got it.
I'll kind of talk about that process real fast. Just a little bit about myself. I'm looking forward to getting to know and represent many of you. There's a section of this that actually used to be Ward 6 10 years ago. And many years ago, I was the chief of staff to Councilmember Tommy Wells at the time. And so I had a chance to work with neighbors. And then as every 10 years, the lines change, I moved into Ward 2. Excited to be back in Ward 6 and excited to work with you on what some of those are going to be, those big issues are. I know that it also, though, for 2C, kind of just cleaves you in half. So I know that we're going to take a little time to kind of get used to this and figure out where we go with this. Councilmember Pinto and her team, and then my team, had a really good meeting this week just to make sure we were talking about how do we help transition, how do we help support each other. I think you can think of it this way: at least for a year, you've got 2 council members, working on your behalf. But we really are trying to make sure we've got good communication back and forth. There's a section of Ward 6 that went to 2, section of 2 that's gone to 6. So really making sure we have that, I hope, in a good place, and that you know how to do that. And I know that I've reached out with the commissioners that'll be now in Ward 6 so that get a chance to, grab a cup of coffee, whether that's, in real life, which I'd love to do. But just kind of get to know you a little better, get to know me a little better, kind of think through what are some of those top issues and items that we can work on together. So I'm excited and looking forward to that. Specifically, I wanted to talk about what the next steps look like for redistricting. And that is the ANC task force process. So what happens is, now that the ward lines have been determined, each ward now creates its own ward task force to redraw the ANC boundaries and then the SMD boundaries. Roughly, your SMDs are supposed to be about 2,000 people, give or take a little bit. Your ANCs, there's no magic number. They can have, as few as 3 commissioners. I've got, ANCs that have 12 commissioners. So it really can runs the gamut. But we need to make some decisions now about what do future Ward 6 ANCs look like. We use the task force process. Basically, for the month of January, February, and March, we'll be running this task force I'm going to ask a lot of people from around the community to help sit on this and help draw the lines. I'm going to follow the same process we did 10 years ago, which is that we don't have sitting commissioners helping draw the lines in the same way that the council redistricting committee is all at-large members, not ward members. That it's probably not a good idea for me to draw my own lines. Same thing applies to commissioners. I had a really helpful recommendation actually from a former commissioner who said, whoever does serve on it, how about we ask them to also make a commitment that they're not planning on running for ANC? That makes sense to me. We're not asking someone to kind of get in there and somehow draw a line that they think may help give them an advantage. So fair point. So I'm going to ask anybody to do that as well. So for any of the residents here who are interested in serving on this, if you want to send me an email, I would welcome that. My email address is first initial, last name. So it's callen@dccouncil.us. And would love to get how we make sure we're making good decisions on this. I also believe, I want you to know, I'm open to the process of a cross-ward ANC. It's somewhat contentious. Some people think it's a great idea. Some people think it's a horrible idea. I'm open to it. I really want to hear your feedback about, do you think it makes sense to have an ANC that is, similar to what you've got already? Would it make more sense to be a part of the Mount Vernon Triangle neighborhood so that you kind of have more commissioners in that space? I'm not prescribing what it should be, but I'm very open to that idea. I will say that it definitely takes two to tango. So we have to have the other ward council members would also have to agree to something like that. There's one example in the city. There's an ANC that bridges between ANC in Ward 3 and Ward 4. It's been around for a while. It works pretty well. They have two council members. If there's a downside, from a DC agency perspective, oftentimes you've got, kind of your one single liaison that you work with at DDOT or at DPW might end up creating a little bit of confusion. I think we would need to weigh the pros and cons, but all that to say, if you think it's a good idea, if it's something you want to pursue, please know that I'm open to that idea and would love to talk to you about what that could look like. The other piece I'll add specific to the commissioners is that while the task force will be non-commissioners, as well as former commissioners helping draw the maps, most ANCs, I think, will also make their own recommendations. So if that's something that you want to do where you take up your recommendation and say, hey, we think it should be X versus Y, I'd welcome that too. It's good feedback to come in, about that. I think that for the neighborhood that's now in Ward 6, I think that there will be either a look to say, should we create something that focuses in on kind of the Mount Vernon Triangle neighborhood and your areas immediately to the north? Or should we also look at one potential would be go back to what it was 10 years ago, where this neighborhood was part of ANC 6C. So it kind of spanned across Union Station in that space. Again, there's pros and cons to each approach. Want to keep the door open to kind of think through what makes sense and what could work. And how do we make sure at the end of the day, you've got a high functioning ANC, you've got the support that you need to help represent your constituents and neighbors, and we just get the job done. So that's kind of the process. I just want to make sure I dropped in to help share that, and really look forward to working with you in the future. And I guess I'm happy to answer a few questions if you'd like, but looking forward to it, and good evening, everybody.
Thank you so very much. We really appreciate you being here and talking about this process. And Commissioners Minsky and Nelson, do you have any questions or?
I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you for coming and speaking with everyone, and I look forward to meeting, and we could discuss some more ideas at that point as well.
Great, thanks.
And with the recommendations from the ANC, I know that would we be making recommendations like 2C should become part of Mount Vernon Triangle area because of X, Y, and Z, or I'm imagining all of those areas are going to be redrawn so that 6E is not going to be 6E anymore, and may not be 6E, and etc.
Yeah, I'll try to answer the best way I can. So just like how your ANC is kind of being cut in the middle, ANC 6E is having the same thing happen essentially along New York Avenue. So the areas north of New York Avenue will move to Ward 2, which is about
Oh, right.
SMDs, maybe 5 SMDs off the top of my head. And then the areas below, which is about currently three SMDs, would stay in 6. I think based on population growth in Mount Vernon Triangle, it's likely it'll probably grow to maybe 4 SMDs.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I'm looking for in terms of kind of your recommendations could be, for those of you that were around 10 years ago, was there a, did it work for you to be a part of an ANC 6C that kind of spanned from kind of Union Station, Capitol Hill through downtown Penn Quarter? There's probably pros and cons to that. Would you rather have this neighborhood plus Mount Vernon Triangle if it's about 4 commissioners? So maybe everything, I don't know, west of North Capitol Street. I think I'm looking for your feedback. Like, what do you think makes the most sense for your ability to help represent your community and neighborhood? And how do we define it, right? And we know that we're constantly changing neighborhoods, but to the best we can, how do we help define what that looks like? We also expect, there's a lot of population growth that's also going to be taking place west of North Capitol Street, but our SMDs are going to be based off of what the population was at the time of the census. So I can almost guarantee you a few years from now, we're going to have ANC commissioners that are representing 3,000, 4,000 people. And we're not allowed to draw maps that anticipate population growth, but I do believe we should at least be thoughtful about where we see growth may be taking place.
Got it. God, that's very helpful. And I think the idea of an ANC spanning across wards is a very interesting concept and to consider as well. So that's great.
Yeah, and again, it may not be the right fit, but I just want to make sure I'm open to it. But also to help, I think it's always important to set expectations. To do something like that would require both council members agreeing to something like that to make that happen. So again, it's just food for thought, and I look forward to kind of thinking about it with you.
Got it. And I will say that that one of the things I see former Commissioner Wilsey coming online, I can say that from my tenure, I know that ANC 2C is one of the smallest ANCs with 3 commissioners. And while there's pluses and minuses of 3 commissioners, having a larger commission helps divide some of the workload that we experience as commissioners. So that's just something I'm putting out there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this, when we worked on, coming up with 2C back 10 years ago, the main goal was to keep 2C as the downtown ANC because it was kind of disjointed before that. Part of it was in Ward 6, which was really mostly Capitol Hill, and the northern part was in 2, and it extended up past Shaw into that area. So I would be very interested in seeing what it would look like if it did span across 2 different wards. And it obviously needs to grow. Having 3 commissioners is tough. There's a lot of work that, has to be divvied out, and just a few people to do it all. So
I appreciate that, Commissioner. And I think, there's a lot of issues that the commissioners and neighbors on the north side of Mass Ave care about and work on, I think, that are probably the exact same issues that you're working on as well. So it may be that, you don't have the exact same issues, say, as residents in, next to Stanton Park on Capitol Hill, but it maybe makes a lot more sense to think about, K Street Northwest and Mount Vernon Triangle and those areas which have a much more shared kind of issues, opportunities, challenges.
Absolutely. Those are, back then they weren't as similar as today, but that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
Put that way.
Awesome. Thank you. Are there any other questions for Councilmember Allen? Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
5-year-old crying in the background.
No, didn't even hear it at all. As we kind of move forward, we definitely want to keep your office engaged in the ANC meeting. So we'll reach out and invite your staff or yourself to participate in our ANC meetings as we move forward throughout the year, just to keep everyone engaged and being able to understand the issues that are impacting these neighborhoods. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Again, for anybody who needs it, my email address is callen@dccouncil.us. And I look forward to, again, to working with you, to representing you, being accountable to you, and finding a lot of ways to partner on some good stuff. So thanks all. Have a great night and look forward to talking to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Take
Thank
care.
you.
All right. I saw earlier that we had Lieutenant Dolligan on from MPD 1. Do we have someone from MPD 1 on with us this evening?
Hey, I'm here.
Hey, there you are. How are you doing?
Good.
Nice
How are you?
hat.
Thank
Nice
you.
warm
It's
hat.
a little cold in here.
Yes. Terrific.
Let me get the right screen. Okay, so I'll be quick. So excuse me. So I'm first district is always get my cardinal directions messed up. The east side of 2C, east of 9th Street. Okay. So in that area, the big issue that we've had in the last month, really in the last couple of weeks, has been violent crime in Chinatown, and that really within a block of 7th and H Northwest. So as of this morning, there were 4 robberies in the area. As of this afternoon, there are now 5 robberies in the area. It's certainly gotten a lot of our attention, not just within the first district, but within MPD as a whole. So there's certainly more resources that are coming to Chinatown to hopefully calm things down. There's nothing to indicate that it's any kind of the same groups or actors involved or anything. It's just the area itself is what for whatever reason is generating this violent crime where there's these robberies occurring. So there should be hopefully more resources, more police officers in the area to help calm things down in that area. And that's pretty much the big issue of the month for the 1D part of 2C.
Do you have any insights on why we're seeing this elevated crime here? I know that's kind of a broad
Sorry, I
question.
actually called my phone. I lost you there. Do
Oh,
I
I'm
have any
sorry.
insight on
why we're seeing this elevated crime in this area?
That's a great question. I'm no criminologist.
Yeah.
I would speculate. Chinatown's always been a pretty good area to hang out in. There's a lot of transit routes through there of various means that kind of brings a lot of people together. And it's just kind of a busy area, for years now, really. And I think that's what's going on. I think with our diminished resources and lower number of patrol officers out there, that's kind of impacting our ability to maintain what's traditionally been a pretty high police presence in Chinatown, with a dedicated Chinatown unit that just doesn't have the numbers that it really should have at this point to maintain that presence. So I think that's probably also impacting as well.
Got it. And I know that we've all been experiencing Omicron across the world and impacting every aspect of our lives. I'm wondering, I've been seeing on the news how various police departments have been impacted nationally, and I'm wondering how MPD has been impacted by COVID.
Yeah, so we have, I think if I can hit all the talking points quickly, we have a good number of employees that are fully vaccinated and hopefully boosted. I am. The members that are not get tested weekly, and and then obviously anyone who tests positive or has exposures that I guess meet the criterion of the CDC standards get quarantined and sent home and such to reduce that. So obviously in the last couple of weeks, the Omicron has really kicked things up, and so it's taken a hit, certainly with our staffing. But the good thing is, I think it looks like we're hopefully getting over the peak, at least with MPD, where the number of people that are going out sick on a daily basis is significantly less than it was a week ago, and more people are coming back than are going out sick. So hopefully that's going to help improve things.
That's terrific. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Liz?
I don't.
I just had kind of one. So that area, that's where the metro station is, right? The
Yes.
area you mentioned the robberies. Do you know anything about if they were in like literally the same place? So if all 5 or multiple of the 5 were in the metro area, or if some were at like the Walgreens across the street, or just any more detail on how similar the events were?
They're spread out, so it's not. I mean, if they were on metro property, we would expect Metro Transit to take that, and then I wouldn't really be talking about it. But let me actually see. I can give you the one this afternoon was 600 block of I Street Northwest. That was a delivery driver making a bank run that kind of seems like he might have been followed, or somebody knew that was his destination. But that's certainly off. I think I Street's really off the beaten path of Chinatown, broadly speaking. But there was 600 block of H, 700 7th Street, and then there was one right at 7th and H itself, the intersection. That one just over the weekend on the 7th was one where there has been one arrest made, but there's 2 other suspects that are still being sought, and I know there were a press release went out, I think yesterday, for it. That's one where the victim was essentially randomly knocked out, and then 2 other people, once the person fell to the ground unconscious, 2 other people went through their pockets and took property. So one of the second group, or second pair, or the other pair, was caught, but the initial person obviously is still out there, and that's pretty alarming.
And the nature of that one, that's the only instance that was that specific where someone was knocked out, or were multiple of them that way? That was the only one that was.
Yeah, that was the only one.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And is there a great question actually too in the chat was is the I know that there was a drug task force that was kind of working the area. Do you think that this violence is associated with like the drug market that's happening there, or the drug activity that's happening there?
It could be. I mean, it certainly could be. I think it's probably hard to differentiate exactly who is involved in, illegal drug sales out there versus just friends or associates, or just other people that kind of hang out a bit, or just happen to have been passing through Chinatown at the wrong moment.
Yeah. And I know that the other question in there was the reopening of the police, I guess, station area that was on H Street, I guess the Chinatown.
The Asian Liaison Unit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that's probably not a decision that you're engaged with, but
I would. So yeah, I mean, it's not my decision. I would say that probably. I don't even know who owns that specific property. I don't know if that's a DC government storefront or private, but the Asian liaison unit was incorporated into the kind of broader special liaison units. They're up on Shepherd Street Northwest, right off of Georgia Avenue. I don't think they're going to be coming back, that unit in particular. It may be something where other MPD offices could move in there. But just generally speaking, wherever a MPD facility is, that's not really where we are responding for calls for service.
Yeah.
So that's, I'm in an office right now, but and this is where the officers have their roll call at the beginning of their shift, but then they get in their cars and head out, and they're out on the street. So proximity to a police facility doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting a faster response.
Yeah, great. Any other questions for Lieutenant Donegan? Thank you so much for coming and sharing these insights with us, and definitely, hopefully, we'll have a quiet month in February.
Certainly hope so.
So,
have a good night.
Good night. Thank you so much. Do we have anyone from MPD 2? Okay. We will move forward. I'd like to, under our local events that impact the community, I'd like to call the Rock and Roll Half Marathon, which is scheduled for March 26, 2022. Is Diane with us?
I am. Yes, good evening.
Hi, Diane. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. I'm back in front of you guys. I think I was just here a couple months ago talking about the 13th event, which is unusual for this event. But March is its normal place that it's been living there for the last 13 years. So I just wanted to make sure I came back, caught up in any problems that you guys experienced on that November 13th event, give you a little update real quick. It's again Saturday, March 26th. We are again the start line. You guys are host of the start line, which is starts at 14th Street and runs east. The start line corrals run down to 9th Street along Constitution Avenue. In the November 13th event, we had about 11,500 runners come out between the half and the 5K. And runners were clear of that start line by 9:30. And after breakdown, I think we were out of there by about, Constitution was completely open by about 11:45 from our records on the last event. And then Constitution from westbound from 14th all the way to 23rd, that was open by 10 a.m. as the runners passed through. So I just thought it was important to come back to make sure you guys didn't have anything you experienced that you maybe said that, we didn't talk about, and make sure that we were okay and you guys didn't have any concerns.
I have heard nothing negative at all, or areas of concern regarding the marathon or the half marathon. So I think that's good news.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And we're just really a small sliver, like a block and a half, maybe.
Right.
That's there.
And I want to assure your constituents, we do work with the Smithsonian's and museums along Constitution for their opening, and we're pretty good about getting them into where they need to go for their openings. But definitely think it's important to come back every single time we hold this to make sure you guys don't have any lingering concerns or anything that any of the commissioners or constituents faced.
We really appreciate you coming back and doing that. That is terrific.
Absolutely.
I have no questions. Commissioners?
No, I have no questions. Are we for the March event? I can't recall. Did we do a letter of support for this event yet, or are we gonna readdress that closer?
We have not done a letter of support for the March event. We need to do that now in order for them to get their permitting.
Great. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we were doing that. Perfect.
Yeah.
I have no questions. And no concerns.
Any community input or questions, concerns? All right. I'd like to move that we send a letter of support for the United Airlines Rock and Roll, whoops, hold on a second. The Rock and Roll DC Half Marathon and
There you go.
5K.
There you
Yes, sorry. Sorry, I was going to the series
It's a
there.
mouthful.
Yeah, it is.
Awesome.
Seconded.
And all those in favor? So 3 of 3 commissioners voting in favor of that. Diane will get a letter out for you.
Awesome. Thank you, commissioners and constituents. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I have on the agenda this evening, I give 2 updates related to ABRA, if I could for you quickly. We are working with oh, good grief, I can't remember the name of the group that we're working with. Tom's Watch Bar on 7th Street. We had a mitigation today, a mediation today, not mitigation, today to discuss a potential settlement agreement with them, a community settlement agreement. We made some great progress in that meeting. So we should be moving forward with that shortly. Also, there was a motion filed with ABRA to move forward or to re-engage regarding the Ultra Bar location, which is on F Street. This was put into kind of a holding pattern while COVID was underway, and now that they have been reopened, the same issues are persistent. So we are moving forward with a protest on that process, and this is likely going to go to a protest hearing with the establishment. Under transportation, public space. Any questions on the ABRA pieces? I'm sorry. I'm just getting too excited.
Just briefly, is there a timeline on what that protest hearing, when roughly that would be, or we don't know yet?
For
the second one, sorry, Ultra, yeah.
Yeah, we don't know yet. We just asked for it to be reinstated.
Okay.
So,
no other questions. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Under transportation and public space, pulling this from last month, the Penn Social LLC. Anybody representing Penn Social LLC? Uh-oh. Looks like we lost Commissioner Nelson.
I will text her while we do this. She's probably signing back in, I'm sure, but do we have anyone from Penn Social? I don't see Matt.
No, I don't see anyone on there. I know that they were looking to change their hours of operation outside the establishment, and they were looking to expand their outside seating area to, it was in front, and I believe there were like 4 tables in front, to also include a side area that would border 8th Street Northwest. And Commissioner Nelson was going to be inquiring about some residents there. I see.
She did text us that she's reconnecting, that she was dropped and it's reconnecting, so we could talk to her.
Sure. I see that. Kevin, you look like you were about to say something.
Yeah, I thought they had already had a sidewalk permit for the 8th Street area. And the reason they used to have a lot more tables out front, and there was a lot of noise complaints about that. And so they moved those tables to 8th Street several years ago. I thought that the hours were part of the settlement agreement also. So I do have some questions about that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
I was just wondering, is this an outside seating issue or is this an Abra issue? And I think
it's a great question. We will have to look at that. Because if it's in a settlement agreement, which I know they've had significant discussions with the building across the street from them, then they should be held to the ABRA hours. And
Yes.
this is not an ABRA application. This is very interesting. This is a public space application.
Yeah, they may want to get the public space application secured for the number of seats. They may want to expand that patio over there. But I'm not in favor of expanding any hours that are
Right.
settlement agreement because of the problems we've had in the past over there.
I think at the least we should table this to the next meeting because no one's here to discuss it. That'll give us time to review the settlement agreement and to touch base. If you think that makes sense. And Kevin, thank you for bringing up that institutional knowledge here. That's good to know.
Yeah, that's excellent. I didn't even think about that. That you bring this up and it just adds to the confusion of what's happening.
Yeah, I was confused when I saw it on the agenda, so I thought I better ask some questions here before it just gets,
Yeah. So why don't we table this until our next meeting so that we can review that settlement agreement. I would like to we'll review that settlement agreement and then we have to make some decisions on this as well. I know that Commissioner Nelson, I believe, is having some challenges rejoining.
I was trying to find, Michael, by any chance, do you know where the call-in phone number for this meeting is? When I go to the meeting registration, I don't see it. I was trying to send it to Gigi if she wants to just at the least call in for now.
Sure, hang on one second. I can get that for us. I've noticed that apparently we've had some internet challenges this evening. Oh.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people were kicked off at once. It looks like Gigi's back on because I'm not sure though. Has anyone else sent anything to you?
No.
Okay.
But I've seen people disappear and come back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden you froze and I'm looking at the screen like, what's happening? And then I realized that it was like not on and then it just went haywire. So anyway.
Well, thanks for being back on. Did you, we were just talking about the Penn Social LLC and Kevin brought up an excellent point that they have a settlement agreement related to hours that he felt related to that cafe. So I think we need to pull that settlement agreement and look at that settlement agreement.
I will try to find it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to step away for 1 minute. I'm just letting you know because I'm going to turn my video off and I'm not beat dropped. I'm just going to run to the bathroom. Sorry.
No, you can't go. No, I'm kidding.
When I saw that, Gigi, I was like, I could be wrong, but it was done probably 6-7 years ago. But that was one of the issues was the outside seating. So
okay.
Yeah, we will look at that. And Gigi, did you talk with anybody or was able to reach anybody in the residential building across the street from Penn Social?
No.
Okay. I just
Well, I'm cat a corner there. I'm looking out my window here and I can see it. So
see it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if I leave my window open, their patio is right down there below me. So
Right. Yeah. Okay. So let's do that. Let's revisit this at our next meeting, and we'll move forward with that.
Okay.
Next on our agenda is RPM Restaurant LLC occupancy permit, sidewalk, asking for a sidewalk cafe, tracking number 109046661. Do we have anybody here representing RPM? Anybody representing RPM?
No.
Okay. Can we just take a peek at that if we could? Did you want to pull that up?
Yeah, I could share the screen. I have that one moment.
This is at the
So hold on, I'll put this is probably better, something like this. Or do you want the this one up first?
yeah, this is at 1331 F Street. And this is related to the new Italian restaurant, I believe, that's in that location that we approved their Abra license last time. Oh, this is a conversion to enclosed cafe. Could we just look at the draw? Oh, this is the cigar place.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this?
Yeah.
This is what I had under that file, I think. Let me go pull up what you sent. So RPM. Yeah, these are the files they sent. I don't know if I'm sorry, this is from the folder you sent
Yes.
today.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the wrong.
No, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, this
So
is not the
huge
Italian place. This is the place beside of it, the cigar bar. And it looks like they are wanting to permanently enclose this area.
Yeah,
What's our next?
there's a couple different ones. So
下个就是我们了。我们以后就还有一个。
I would like to well, two things with this. This area of the sidewalk is so narrow in that location that it has this box thing, as you can see there. It's kind of in that second photo on this page. It has this streetlight box that is permanently in the middle of the sidewalk. They come out there now, and it almost is impossible for two people to cross. I'm not opposed to them having a sidewalk cafe, but not a permanently enclosed structure at this location. Do we want to recall this at our next meeting, since they are not here to discuss this?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
If they
I'd like to know their reasoning for wanting it to be enclosed.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they had some explanation of the amount of space that would be allowed, or maybe they think enclosing would actually make it easier to walk by because people can't like spread out or move the tables around. There could be a good reason for it,
Yeah.
but because I could imagine that maybe now people like move the chairs around or spread their stuff out. But yeah, I think they would need to explain that for us to really know.
I think one reason they want to enclose it is possibly because Shelley's has a outdoor seating area there and people smoke cigars. And they don't want the smoke coming over there to their patio. So just a thought.
This is Shelley's.
It's next to Shelley's though, right?
No, this is Shelley's.
This is Shelley's. Okay.
Also, from the drawing, it's unclear to me. I think is it just metal bars like
Yeah.
by enclosed, I think it's just a little metal gating area. See there?
Mm.
I'm not sure though. And again, I think that's why maybe it would be useful to ask them to present before doing anything.
Yeah, there are no other enclosed sidewalk cafes on this street. The largest pop out is with the seafood restaurant. I always get the wrong name. On F Street.
Ocean Air.
Ocean Air
Yeah.
is with Ocean Air is the largest pop out, and that's just a doorway pop out. I would recommend that we have them come back and describe why they are enclosing this.
So we could put both of those items on the agenda then, this and the other one we just discussed.
Yes, please.
And social.
And social, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna stop the share on this then.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We have nothing else under transportation public space. We'll move on to planning, zoning, environment, and historic preservation. The Wallach Home Care Agency at 800 6th Street Northwest. We have Dr. Wang, who is the medical director, on with us.
Hi, good evening, commissioners, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me tonight. Their location is the Wallach House. There's a landmark of the Chinatown. There are about 200 seniors living there. Right now, we currently have an adult daycare center located on the first floor. We have about 90 participants. After we open the adult daycare center, we find out a lot of seniors, they just cannot manage their daily life by themselves. So they need some help from someone to help them. Some of them need to be fed. Some of them they need to be clothed. And also their housework, they just cannot do it. There is a program we call a home health care service offered by the DC Medicaid. And we can hire somebody to help them to carry their daily life without going to the nursing home, without being isolated, and to keep them home as long as they can. We'll keep them healthier, and then they will be less a burden to the society if they go to the nursing home, and the cost is extraordinary. You know, by doing this, and we can keep them home and safe. And that's why we try to set up a home healthcare agency. Of course, the home healthcare agency is not just serve the Wallach House residents. We are open to anybody who ever need help. And this is the first step to get the approval that we can start this agency to help the elderly. Hopefully, can keep them healthy and safe at home as long as we can. And most of them, they are ill. There a lot of, believe it or not, there's a lot of them 80s. I have a 196 years old lady live alone in her own apartment. The kids is not around. Some of them are outside the state, some of them in Maryland, and she's just by herself. So right now we can help her 4 hours a day during the daytime with the daycare. But after that, she just cannot make it. Of course, before we come in, she's still alive. She's still alive for 96 years. But I think we can do better. We can help those people to help the elderly better with the home care agency. So I just want to seek the approval from the commissioners. We can set up this agency, and then after your approval, we'll apply for the certificate of need from the Department of Health. So sincerely, I hope we can get your blessing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wan. And I have to say that I congratulate you on the opening of your day center, and so sorry to have the opening foiled by COVID. So we look forward to sometime having that happen.
We will have an opening somehow.
Somehow, yes, exactly. So how many folks are you anticipating that you would serve with the home health care?
To my estimation, right now we have 90 participants in our daycare. The way it looks, I anticipate at least 50 of them, at least 50. Okay, 50 or 60 of them need some sort of home care.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them is less than the others. Some of them, they need to be taken to see the doctors,
Mm-hmm.
to oversee the medications, and also some of them need more.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be cared for, because I have a couple of ladies, I know they're upstairs, they just cannot move by themselves,
Right.
but they still live by themselves. The older husband and old wife, and they just cannot manage. I don't know how they pull us through all those years. But right now, we have about 50, 60 of them needs some sort of home care. So the need is there. But I was so surprised that only few of them get home care.
Mm.
The need's there, but why? I don't know why yet, but I will find out very soon. If we can set this up, I'll be able to find out real soon. Probably the language barrier, the mobility issues, and different issues. So right now, we about 5, 6 of them have home care, but 50 or more of them, they don't. They do need that, the home care. So as far as how many people need it, that's the best I can do.
Yeah.
To give you the rough idea.
Got it. Excellent. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Dr. Wan?
No, just thank you so much for your work and for identifying this need and doing this work to address it. It's really important, and that's really great work that you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I guess a question that I would have is if you're able to set up this home health agency. I know a little bit about this. My sister used to be involved in home health care. She and some friends of hers started an agency, but it wasn't here in the city. It was in another state. But you mentioned that you think that part of the reason that the residents right now do not have, or not that many actually have home health aides, even though they need them, that part of the reason for that is because of the language barrier, or that potentially that's part of the reason for why so many don't have access to Medicaid, to home health care. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, if you are able to set up this home health agency, are you planning to hire like a majority of people who are able to speak both either Cantonese or Mandarin and English? I mean, like, how are you going to be able to make sure that that the language barrier is no longer an issue, I guess is my question.
We'll do the best we can to hire as many trilingual or bilingual workers as much as we can. Of course, all of them have to be certified, by the DC government. So that's my first step. Okay, once you get set up, we'll recruit as many as the bilingual, trilingual workers as much as we can. And that's our goal. I believe that probably is one of the big reasons for they cannot access the home care.
So are you expecting to have people sort of commute in to work at Wallach House, or are you looking to have people live on site that are the home health aides, or just a combination?
We cannot have people live on site. Okay, so we'll hire anybody qualified to serve them. Okay, like what I said before, we are not only to serve the people in Mala, but we can serve whoever who needs it. That's why we need to have bilingual or trilingual worker. I know it's a challenge to hire those workers, very challenging, but believe me, we will try. We will try very, very hard.
Okay, well, we're certainly, I think, excited about the prospect, especially if it's something that can be, that senior citizens in our entire neighborhood can access. That's definitely a great resource for them. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and only a resource that we're going to need much more of in the future as well, as our population is aging. So I'm totally in support of this, and I would like to move that we send a letter of support for the certificate of need for Wallach Home Care Agency.
Seconded.
And all those in favor? So 3 of 3 commissioners voting in favor. This would be you haven't filed anything as of yet? We
can until I get okay from you.
Oh, gotcha.
Commissioners.
Gotcha. And then you have this huge process to go through.
Right, you're right.
To
get
get
the first step.
Got it. Terrific. So we will go ahead and we will send you a letter of support for that. And thank you again for all you do for the community, and really appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And feel free to, if you need to come back for any other steps in the process, obviously we're here as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you as well. Thank you. Next, I would like to call 616 East Street Northwest, an application to build a rooftop antenna facility. And Douglas Sampson. Hi, Doug.
Hi, I'm here. Good. How are you this evening?
Well, thank you. Excellent.
I'm going to go ahead and put my contact information in the chat here. So if anybody in the community has follow-up questions or concerns, they can feel free to do that. And it would be okay if I share my screen. I've got a very brief presentation.
Absolutely, please.
Fantastic. All right, so my name is Doug Sampson. I'm an attorney at the law firm of Saul, Ewing, Arnstein & Lear, and we represent AT&T. Also on with me this evening is Samantha Twinham, who is with SmartLink, who works in real estate acquisition for AT&T. So what we are talking about here is a stealth rooftop facility at 616 East Street in Washington, D.C. The reason we are looking to put a rooftop facility there is that we currently have a telecommunications facility on 600 East Street Northwest. That's a parking garage that's about 150 feet away from this location, from 616 that is, and that is scheduled for demolition in 2022. So the current AT&T antennas that we have on top of that building are going to have to come off and be decommissioned. And what that will do is it will diminish wireless coverage for AT&T in that neighborhood. So we're requesting to put this on top of 616 East Street Northwest, and we have submitted an application for a special exception with the Board of Zoning Adjustment at DC. Now, typically, a rooftop facility such as this in this zoning district would be permitted by right under the zoning code. However, given the specific rooftop here, we are actually placing the facilities on top of existing penthouses. And because those penthouses are already above the full roof line, a special exception is required because we're going to be going above more than 12 feet above the actual rooftop, because again, these will be on top of the penthouses. This facility will enhance public safety in the area with a network called FirstNet, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a moment. And we believe it offers a replacement service for AT&T customers and wireless customers with little visual impact and no adverse effects to the neighborhood due to its stealth nature. And it's designed to blend in with the existing building. And I've got some better photos of that coming up. The facility will comply with all federal, state, and local regulations. And again, we will be going before the Board of Zoning Adjustment at a future date that is yet to be determined. So again, the goals are really just to retain the reliable wireless services in and around Northwest DC in this area, and specifically emergency and non-emergency services, and also part of FirstNet, which again, I'll talk about in a moment. And one thing I'll just point out that AT&T has seen a drastic increase in network activity over the past 2 years due to the pandemic, the working remotely, the virtual learning from schools, telehealth, online worship services. And not necessarily this part of DC, but we found that a lot of areas of DC have been underserved during the pandemic and have really been at a disadvantage. And so we've actually had a couple of applications groups that didn't have access to wideband services really were at disadvantage compared to the rest of the country. So what is FirstNet? FirstNet is the First Responder Network Authority. This dedicated network access and bandwidth for first responders across the country. Now, this came following the 9/11 Commission, following the September 11th attacks. And if you know anything about the wireless signals during that time, first responders couldn't get to the Pentagon. They couldn't get to the Twin Towers. They couldn't, because the networks were just jammed up with everybody just jamming the commercial networks. And so the United States Congress passed an act to prevent that from happening again and created FirstNet. And so this is an exclusive contract between the federal government and AT&T. All 50 states and 6 territories have opted in by January 2018. That includes Washington, D.C. And some organizations that use these: FEMA, Department of the Navy, Department of the Army, FBI, 15,000 federal, state, and local agencies, over 2 million daily connections during the COVID pandemic. And if you remember the New York and LA hospital ships when the pandemic started, they were using exclusively FirstNet for on-ship and shore communications. So that would be available at this site. So here's just a quick overhead look at the satellite view from Google Maps. The red there is the replacement site at 616 East Street Northwest. And the white square immediately to the right, that's the current existing site. Again, it's on, I believe, a parking garage, which will be decommissioned later this year. Again, we don't believe there's any local impact. It was designed to blend into the existing building. There will be no public access to the facility because it will be on top of the penthouses and will be in locked structures. It's unmanned, so there won't be anybody actually maintaining it for AT&T other than a couple of visits per year by a technician, and therefore there shouldn't be any impact on traffic or on the residents. So just kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about with the lost coverage. What you see there on your left is the current coverage map from AT&T in this area. And what you see as green is considered full wireless and broadband service. That would be in building, in car, in your residence. You'd have full access to AT&T wireless. And what you see to the right, what is marked as MCI there is the current facility. I believe that's the name of the parking garage. And when that is taken down, you'll see how much of the green disappears in that particular neighborhood. And so again, here on the left is that same map we just saw is the coverage that will exist when that facility currently exists is decommissioned. And then what you have on your right here now is the replacement coverage when the wireless facility on top of 616 is activated. And you see we really fill in that coverage gap and bring full service back to the area. Real briefly, here's the site plan of what this will look like. It will be basically two facilities, two boxes, one here on the East Street side and one here on the D Street side. And that will be the structures that would house the antennas. And there'd be an equipment facility right here in the center of that as well. Here's just another look. This is north is to your right. Again, just kind of showing you the two to the right and to the left would be the two antenna boxes with equipment here in the center. And then here's a look at the building from the side. Again, this is where the antennas would be housed. As you can see, the main roof is right here at about 112 feet. The penthouse goes up to 130 feet, and we're looking just to extend that 12 feet on top. Again, this would be by right if we were right on the rooftop, but unfortunately the building itself doesn't allow for that. There's some public community areas up there that make it not feasible to put right on the rooftop. So that's why we're going on top of the penthouses. And then here are a couple of photo sims of what these will look like. So on the left is as it currently exists. On the right would be the box that would house the antennas that would be enclosed and designed to blend into the building. So you can see up here on top of this brick structure, that would be where the antennas would be. And this is a special kind of material that is designed to blend into the building. So you can't see the antennas inside there, but it's a special material that allows RF signals and wireless signals to go through that material. So it allows the antennas to be completely enclosed and obscured from view without diminishing the coverage. And then here's another look. Again, on the left is as the building currently exists, and on the right is the proposed with the antenna structure there on top. So what we're asking for is for a letter of support from the ANC in support of this special exception application. Again, we have submitted this to the Board of Zoning Adjustment, but do not yet have a hearing date at this time. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commissioners or the community may have.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming and presenting this. When I heard rooftop antenna, I was like, oh, this is going to look horrible. But I mean, that is really, really doesn't look like there's hardly any impact. These are not those ugly silver things that used to emerge from buildings as well.
Yeah, the technology's come a long way, especially as the networks have expanded and especially in densely populated areas, and people don't want to see those antennas out their window. So it's come a long way. We actually just built a bell tower down in Virginia that is attached to a church. It looks great. So
oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And this is probably a dumb question, but I'm assuming that the building has sold this space or to AT&T or FirstNet.
That's correct. The building owner entered into a lease agreement with AT&T. I think it's actually a requirement before we put the application in, and they are the building owner as a result is a co-applicant because it is their property. So it is AT&T and the building, and we have a letter of authorization from the building owner for us to put this zoning application through.
Got it. Got it. Excellent. Excellent. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I'm just curious. My first thought with an antenna in a residential area is if there's been any research on the safety of kind of, the radiation or the radio waves from having an antenna in a residential area, and if how long these have been around in residential areas, and if you've learned anything in the time that they've been used in residential spaces.
Yes, that's a great question, and it comes up a lot, especially in, again, densely populated areas such as this. So the RF emissions, which is the signal that's given out, is heavily regulated by the FCC. So the FCC has specific requirements in place to make sure that emissions are below a certain level and certain standard. AT&T's facilities tend to be well below those standards, but that is regulated from I guess, a health and emission standpoint from the federal government. I can also tell you there's a lot of misinformation out there. There are people talking about how 5G is spreading COVID and ridiculous things like that. I can tell you that reputable scientific agencies that have looked into this, including the American Cancer Institute, National Institute of Health, and the World Health Organization, have all found absolutely no adverse health effects related to proximity of these facilities. You hear radiation. This is not really radiation in the way you think of as cancer-causing radiation. This is considered non-ionizing radiation or radio frequencies, and so they really have, unless you're going in there and fiddling with the antennas themselves, which won't be able to be happen in this particular facility, there should be no adverse health effects or concerns. And again, that is regulated by the federal government at a pretty heavy level for all wireless providers.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Nelson, anything?
No, I didn't have any questions. Thanks. I echo your sentiments, Michael. I'm just glad that it's not going to be an eyesore.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Any community members have any questions or concerns? Terrific. Then I would like to move that we send a letter of support to the letter of support for a special exemption of the zoning adjustment.
Second.
And all those in favor? Awesome. So 3 of 3 commissioners voting in favor of that. Doug, would you mind putting together some language for me, like a little blurb that explains that?
Sure. And actually, the Board of Zoning Adjustment has an ANC form that can be filled out. So I can coordinate with you tomorrow and get you what you need and whatever else you want from us. Absolutely happy to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you being here and presenting this, because we heard rooftop antenna and we were like, ugh, what is this going to look like? But this is really, thank you for making it pretty.
Absolutely. and it's come a long way, like I said. And once you actually start looking for these, you'll start seeing them in a lot of different places. And they aren't nearly as much of an eyesore. They start blending in kind of like telephone poles. You don't notice them anymore.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, terrific.
All right. Well, thank you all for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And thanks, Samantha, for attending as well. Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Do we have any other business items to discuss this evening? All right.
Not business items, but had we decided what we're going to do for next month in terms of our meeting schedule or meeting in general?
To my knowledge, I sent an email today to the office of ANC, and they indicated to me that this expires next month, so that we could continue to meet virtually next month. I understand that Councilmember White is putting through some legislation to extend the virtual option during this surge, or wherever we are now, whatever we're calling this next phase of this. So I think we will have a little bit of an opportunity to continue to explore that.
Okay, thanks.
But yeah.
Quickly, do you think it would be a good idea, especially considering our current dual council member status, to just write a quick letter, which I could do, just a few sentences saying, we would like it to be extended. We would find that helpful. And we could email it to them, and we could mention the pending legislation. And by them, I mean council members Pinto and Allen.
Absolutely. I think that would be fantastic.
Do we need to vote on that, or yes? So I'll make
should.
I'll make a motion to send a letter requesting an extension for virtual meetings, ANC meetings then.
I will second that. And all those in favor? I'm sorry.
I was like, did I say it? No, 'cause
I think I had it momentarily. I fell asleep. I don't know why.
that time. Okay, I'll do that and copy you guys then. Or I'll have you send it, but I'll just send you the letter when it's done.
Okay, that would be awesome. And I can send it off. Awesome. Otherwise, I was going to officially designate you as the person to address this.
I'm happy to do that. I could like get the letter already, and then maybe it could. I don't know if it's better to have you send it as the chair, or it doesn't matter.
Sure. Let's do it that way. And
okay.
Then we'll get it out there, and by all means, we can include all of us on this.
Yeah. Letter
as well.
That sounds great. Perfect.
That is fantastic. Awesome. Thank you for bringing that up. That's really important. Awesome. Do we have any other items of business for this evening then? Awesome. Then do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
And a second?
A second.
Yoo-hoo! Done. Thank you all so much for coming this evening. We appreciate you being here. Please reach out to us if any one of the commissioners, if you have any concerns, or comments, or any way that we can help improve our community and our neighborhoods. Thank you all so much again, and Happy New Year, and have a great rest of your month.
Thanks, Michael. You too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.